he gets hot and heavy, and then he'll get cold. But if the interest starts picking back up like it used to, I think he'll definitely get back into it again.
His
Tyler,
inventory is the lowest it's been since I've known him. I think he's down a couple engines and one race car. But at one
yeah,
time, I think he had 3 Bickle cars and 6 or so engines, and he was a big supporter.
yeah. He's kind of like I said. I've known him a long time, and he goes from street rod mode, as we call it, to race car mode. And right now, he's in street rod mode. So um, the red car, didn't show up at what was the last one? Galat.
We're all messed up, Galat.
Galat because he had bought another trailer, a better suited trailer for what they're hauling them cars across the country for street rod shows. But it doubles as a race car trailer, so I think Tyler was picking that trailer up and something like that. So just a lot going on. I mean, I've got a lot going on too right now too. Samantha's graduating high school this year, so that's coming up. That I kind of knew all this was happening when I kind of set out my plan for this year. I mean, Calvin's like my motivator. He texts me every morning basically and get that car done. Let's get that car done. And I want to get it done, but I got a bunch of customer obligations I got to fulfill first. I'm trying to get that stuff caught up. And then,
So when you talk about customer obligations, Brian, so you've got a day job as a manager of a bunch of techs, and then you also build race cars and headers and do race car fabrication work at home as well.
I do. I do a lot of. I do a ton of different stuff. I mean, I used to have a shop like 5 minutes up the street from my house, and I built a shop at my house and kind of drug a lot of that stuff here. I've been buried in it for a while. I'm trying to get caught up on that. I had some help at one point. I don't now because I work full time. Basically, Mama said if I'm going to have a race car on my own deal, I got to get a job and have to do all that stuff to pay for it. So,
Yeah.
and
Jason,
and
you know all about that, right?
yeah, I'm sure Jason knows at this age, man, that's getting harder and harder. I was out in the garage last night till midnight working on something for one of my kids' college project, and man, I was dragging this morning. But Chris, I send you the most updates and the pictures and all that stuff than anybody, and like when I get in thrash mode though, I'll get it done. So
Yeah.
we're just trying to get through next month is Samantha's graduation and party and all that
How
stuff.
old do you feel? How old do you feel now?
Really old, considering like I look at the pictures from when we first started racing with the Chevy 2, and I got, we were in Florida at the first 632 deal, and
In Orlando,
yeah, man, it breaks my heart in one way, but I'm proud of her. I mean, she's super smart and does real well, and she's already got I texted her today. Our mother told me the other day that she got another job, so she's working 2 jobs now. Goes to high school. She goes to college courses, so she's kind of a go-getter. So I'm proud of her for that. So
That's probably why you took a year
Yeah,
off
no
racing,
interest
because you
in a
didn't
race
have
car?
her help.
what's that, Jason?
She has no interest in getting in a race car.
Yeah, so we've got a Camaro, and believe me, she's on me too. So she's got a 3rd-gen Camaro that I'm working on putting together for her, like a little street strip type car. Her boyfriend's car is out on the lift right now in the garage. I'm putting some headers on that for him. And
Her what?
What's that?
Her what?
Yeah, her boyfriend. So trying to help him out with that, and then she'll text me and what do I need for my car? When can we get some parts for my car? And I mean, I have an engine done for it. It's just time, man. That's all. So
Yeah.
but
And go through the hourglass quick.
yeah, sure does.
So, Brian, we kind of covered the past in your racing. So, moving forward, you said you got Doug Nichols' Mustang. That was in RJ, is that correct?
It is an RJ car, yeah. Bob Birch. It was the Rise Loan sponsored Pro Stock car, Mountain Motor Pro Stock car.
If I remember right, Doug ran that with the motor you had in the Cavalier, which was like a 9-degree deal from, what was that, Madcap?
It was
Robert.
Madcap. Yep. The guy that. Go ahead.
And then that car, he fielded it with a clutch and a Lenco, I believe, or a Liberty. And I want to say, if I remember right, Doug went as fast as like a 25 with that. When 25 was really fast. I mean, so
It's funny you said that because I remember the conversation you and I had the first time we saw that car.
yeah, I said, who are those guys down there? Like,
Right.
they made a good lap, and I'm like, what the hell did they come from? You
Yeah,
know?
I
And
was
I
like,
think
man,
I think Brandon was helping them, and I
yeah,
started to try to figure out who in the hell these guys were because they're starting to be a threat with not even making any noise yet. I was like, holy shit.
yeah, they just kind of popped out there, and then and Doug just said 21. I had thought he'd been in the teens with that car with the other motor in it. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a really good car. And I'm just trying to do a due diligence and make it look like it used to, like brand new. So I mean, the biggest thing I'm struggling with right now is trying to find a local plater to replate the rear end housing, because I know if I put it under the car unplated, I'll never take it back out. I'm just trying to do it all now before I,
Yep.
So
I got pieces like that in my car.
yeah. But
and I'll remember when I look at it, go,
yeah.
do that.
So you think you'll run that car with an automatic in it or bolt action tranny?
So I really want to run it with the clutch, but since Meade's offered up a drivetrain again, it'll probably come out with an automatic in it first, just for simplicity reasons. It's kind of what I know, and just because I'll be out late in the year, and then I'll probably convert it over. The car's already set up for a clutch, but I'll probably just get all the pieces together over the next winter and try to bring it out the next time with a clutch in it.
See, that's the backstory on this is kind of leading up to something I just want to make a somewhat of a half-cocked statement. That's the beauty of 632 racing is some regular guys like us can, kind of team up, take a car that's a good car, but not brand new, revamp it to run in the category and come out and be competitive. I mean, like Doug said, that car was a 21. I mean, those numbers are still hold true in the category today. Now you're 3, 4, 5 years smarter than back then. That same combination with the same people working on it with just some technology moved along. All of a sudden, that car picks up 3, 4 more hundreds. So you can have a pretty competitive package out on the racetrack for, man, not a lot of money. I know behind the scenes what that stuff kind of traded hands for a couple different times, and you can put a race car together, under $100,000 and come out there and be in the pack. Now of course you can also spend 300 or more. You'll have a little fresher piece or something like that, or a brand new engine or a brand new race car. But at the end of the day, some of this old stuff revived is perfect for 632 racing.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's the appeal to it for me. I mean, I'm not super wealthy by any means, and I feel like I can do it. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I was thinking about this earlier today when you called me and asked me if I wanted to come on tonight, and probably the biggest takeaway that I got right now is having a little bit of time to think and kind of regroup. When you're racing, and nothing towards any of the guys that I have raced with or driven for, but like you're kind of stuck in a wormhole with them. You know what I mean? And I got some things that I want to do on my own, my own way. I've kind of always done it that way. And I'm looking forward to doing that and trying a lot of the stuff that I want to try and test. And
well, and to clarify, I think what you mean about wormhole is you don't want to get lost when somebody else is backing you,
Right.
but if it's your own deal, you got nobody to answer to but yourself, nobody to blame but yourself. It's easy. If you get off in left field and have a bad race, you drive home mad at yourself and no one's got any problems with you.
Yeah, because you feel like you let them guys down, and I mean,
Sure.
and it happens. I mean,
So you find yourself being more conservative because there's other, people involved.
Right.
I understand. I completely understand.
And I definitely, like the Gibson's got a really good car. That Cavalier's been 978. It's been a 16 at like 171. I'm sure they changed some stuff in the engine combination, which is, fine, I'm sure.
It's what we all do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they went a 21 with it the other weekend at MIR for the Pro Mod race up here, and with a
Yeah,
couple
those are good runs, period. And I
Yeah.
mean, no less having a theoretically new to them car. So
Right.
And a new
I'm,
driver.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see they're making it out there. There's a lot of guys chattering before the season about how big the car counts were going to be, and we've yet to really experience that. So I'm glad to have another one in the mix.
yeah, for
They
sure.
will have two. I think they're showing up, and Corey Terry's coming.
Awesome.
He's coming untested.
We'll take off. That's my man there. Test at the racetrack. There's no better place to be stranded than at the track.
Right.
Well, it's true. I mean, think about, just wandering around in the group and, picking up, keeping your ears open and eyes open, picking up on little stuff and learning, what guys are doing and asking questions. Everybody's real approachable. I mean, except for Jason. And then, it's pretty good place to gather some data and, improve your program.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing. Like when I first started out in the category, I mean, and not to be negative at all, but like you can definitely
No, not you.
Yeah, you can definitely get yourself in left field doing that in a hurry too by certain people. But I mean, not that anybody means it ill intentionally, but like a lot of guys run their stuff differently. You know what I mean? And so you can definitely do that. But like you said, I like the fact that you can ask questions and
Plus, you get to measure up what you've got against what they've got on the same conditions, the same racetrack. You're not at some, hole in the wall racetrack with these phantom slips that get you some false confidence. I remember you guys went testing, I think, with the gold Camaro, and it was one of them bubblegum wrapper 60 foots or something. Oh, no, that was Vinny. I think Vinny came back with the old 931 60 foot or whatever, and it just gave him, a little bit of a false hope because it wasn't on the same track as everybody else was at. So when you can measure up with all the guys that you've got to compete with, then it's a big difference. So I think everybody should come out untested and race and just get going, because a lot of times that first race is the hardest one to make. Then after that, you're in a rhythm you start scheduling around it.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I kind of like what IHRA does with the two qualifiers and get right to it because I feel like honestly I would have a very good advantage in those conditions because I can pretty much make the trip every time. I mean, I think Jason, I was joking with Jason one day and he said something about shaking the tires, and I said I can't ever remember shaking the tires in a 632 car except the Chevy 2, and obviously there's 10 different ways you can shake the tires, but it's kind of a funny story as well. Like there's a local track here in Maryland. It's kind of defunct now, but it kind of sucks because it's 15 minutes from my house. The guy made a post one day saying the first car that comes up here and goes sub 1 second, 60 foot, I'll give him $1,000. Well, I in the gold car would typically go one flat 101 every single time. So I said, well, what do I got to lose? I'll go up there. Kind of the same thing. And I had free reign with Meade's car. So I went up there, unloaded, went 997, and the guy handed me $1,000 cash. And I was like, that was great. I was done.
I would just go there every week.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is awesome. So we loaded up. Well, actually he asked me, he said, what did you think? And I said, the track was good to 60 feet. After 60 feet, it was trouble. So he drug it some more, treated it a little bit better. And I put a little time in it down low, and the car went 991 the next pass. And everybody's like, oh, the clocks are wrong. And I said, you know what? I don't care if the clocks are wrong or not. I made the same run in the same lane in the same conditions and picked up 5 or 6 numbers in 60 feet. That's a pretty big swing.
There's your measuring stick. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I use that for more than anything. And I said, but more importantly, I knew all along with that gold car, the problem I had with it was the nose weight on it. It was very heavy up front with the steel engine in it and the Edelbrock heads. Um, so we struggled with that. But I went up there and it had wheel speed like nobody's business. And the G meter was up. Everything was up. Everything looked great. But we couldn't duplicate those conditions at a PDRA track because the track was so much tighter. And I kind of preached that to Calvin all the time when we talked about going testing. And I said, well, the problem with going testing 9 times out of 10 around here is if you don't go to a slick track prep, they prep them for radials around here 9 times out of 10. And it's not usable data for us. So I like you said, I like showing up, and if we race like that, I think it would be awesome. But it is what it is. I like to test too. So
Oh, I mean, you watched last week's race, and you see the people who didn't qualify in mountain motor, and it was like some of the names was like, wow, like the bosses didn't qualify.
yeah,
You know, so I like the 2 hits and let's go because
right.
I think it levels the playing field.
Yeah, I mean, and as long as you, like you said, you don't get yourself lost there. I mean, like Jordan's killing it right now. I mean, he's on fire, and he's obviously a killer driver, and he's gonna keep smacking them guys around because he's got the runs now and makes good runs, and he knows what he can and can't do instead of swinging for the fence or whatever. And that's
I
where
was
it's at.
was pretty impressed with him. I think he opted out for not doing that triple thread or whatever that the run for the million.
Right.
He'd be going this weekend, and he's due for rods at this point. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't put rods in it, you're gonna lose more than 50 grand.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't put a set of rods in it. So I said, just put the set of rods in. I said, if you don't win this race anyway, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win the 100 grand or whatever they're paying for winning all 3.
True.
Said, go to the next one, win 50 at another one.
Yep.
It's to me, it's a bonus race. It's all it is. It's like our Pro Stars. It's just a bonus race.
So Brian, you touched on something a little bit ago, and you made a comment about mixing it up a little bit. I've got something I want to, and this is just me and my head going. I've had some downtime for some health issues here recently, and I've just been thinking about this 632 deal, and wonder if rules are always topical because there's so many rules in the category, and I know there's some chatter about JC's. I've heard people already saying he's going to be the champ this year and this and that, and he very well may. He's got a great program. But what would you guys think? Maybe, you can't implement it this year, but maybe in next year or something like that. Something with a moving weight a little bit based on your performance. I was thinking like if you want to race, maybe the next race you'd have to carry 25 pounds. Or something like that, that maybe made the middle of the pack guys feel like, man, that's all right. Let him win. I got something for him at the next one, and he's going to tote that extra, 25 or whatever the number is. Maybe the number one qualifier gets, 15 or something like that on them for the rest of the weekend. Or is there something like that you guys might think would be an idea, because we need to spice up our class a little bit and give everybody the idea that they can win.
My thought, if you give number one qualifier 15 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever it is, then the real fast guy ain't going to care about being number one qualifier.
Well, then he forfeits those points and the check and everything else, and it gives a guy that.
Yeah, but look at the big picture. He loses $500 for not being number one qualifier.
Look at the big picture, though. Maybe a guy that never been number one qualifier gets to be that. And I mean, there's still a lot of guys that come out here for fun, so they can go home and tell everybody they're number one qualifier at their local racetracks.
We'll use Carson as an example in this. Carson doesn't want the extra weight on his car to race with, so he holds back. And hell, I become number one qualifier.
Okay. Yep.
Now, so I'm number one qualifier. Say Carson plays the cards right, and he's number 16 out of 16.
So to be
And they put
devil's
some ass whipping on me first round because
to be
he was
devil's advocate, though, number one qualifier usually has the best part of the ladder, especially with these short car counts. You got buys and stuff like that. So there are some advantages to qualifying up there too, in addition to the points and a check and everything else. So you get that sweetheart side of the ladder.
Yeah, but if we say we do a 16 qualifier and we had 6, they had 18 cars, 2 go home, and we raised 16, and that perfect scenario that would be great if that could ever happen. But I mean, and then Chris can wick that thing up and go pull a 10 on me on my 16 or 17 that I was number one qualifier with. So there's
So
if I had the opportunity to do it, and that was the way it was, that's the way I would do it. So I wouldn't have to carry the weight.
We touched base on this for a minute, and I kind of wish I would have looked it up because I don't know the ins and outs of it. But MIR used to have a series called the Frantic 7, and it was pro mods. So they were full fledged, just Tommy Mooney would show up once in a while, this guy, that guy. I mean, but they couldn't run any faster. Like I think it was like a 2/10 rule or something they called it. Like you couldn't run any faster than like the record in Pro Mod or something. IHRA. I can't remember. I'll look it up and try to. But I definitely think that there should be something to give. Like you said, Chris. For the majority, I go to have fun. I mean, I want to win. Obviously, I want to be as competitive as I can, and I am competitive, and that's probably one of the biggest life lessons I've had to learn racing 632 is just sucking that up because I don't like to lose, but I had to a lot. And but there's a lot of people that won't do this for the fact, so yeah, Billy would know. He probably ran that back in the day. But you got to give people some hope, like you said, that want to feel like they come, because there's a million cars out there with 632s in them, top sportsmen, whatever the case may be. I mean, I know of a lot of cars that just sit around and don't do anything because they're like, oh, I'm not going to go spend all that money to do that and get my teeth kicked in every week by, nothing against him, but somebody like Alan O'Brien that has all the money and how all them cars out there, a professional tuner. I mean, that's class racing. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah, just a good program.
Yeah,
but then there's got to be guys like like us that just going to try hard and go out there with what we got and match our skill set against theirs. And you don't have to win the race and be number one qualifier and all that stuff to have a good time.
Right.
So there's definitely something for everybody out there. But I'm just trying to, I'm always go back to have longevity. You got to have car count, and it's a little bit light for my sense of security, and just trying to think of ways to, and I don't have all the answers, but I constantly think of new ones or new ideas.
Over the week, I think Tara's got motors for both trucks.
Yeah, I saw that.
Back.
I mean, I saw pictures of Vinny's short block and stuff together, so he's got to be getting somewhere.
Right. Patrick's got an intake.
Right.
So, that one's getting closer. And actually, he's not with us tonight. He's in Germany working for our country. And then you got Billy Gibson's coming for the first time.
Right.
How
about all the Fords? Where are all the Fords at that were going to be here this year?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to the other Ford.
I mean, we were supposed to have Mopars and Fords and all kinds.
Well, last time I checked in with them, the Mustang had rear end. It was too wide. It needed to be shortened, and there was some other stuff that was going on with it.
Which one was that? Is that Tim's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had to go put his wheels on, and they didn't fit.
Oh wow!
So he took his rear end out and shortened it and put that back in. It was something else he had issues with. Injectors. He was looking for some of the high flow injectors. So I mean that's another car that we know it's coming, right? We've seen it. The Guy walks around his house with his fire suit on.
Yeah, I wanted to do this in my garage tonight so I could show you guys some pictures of the car, but I just ran out of time. I was late coming home, so. But
Calvin posted up, the problem with the top sportsman race is adding weight and limited jets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Top sportsman guys they're top sportsman guys. You know what I mean? That's what they are. They're always going to be that way.
Yeah, I wish we could attract more of them, but there seems to be a little, like Calvin said, they're just a little resistant to adding weight and probably taking away jet and trying to figure out how they're going to go faster doing it. So,
well, I mean, most of them run as fast as we are with a 706 and multiple kits, right? Yes, Calvin. Andy Spurback did get that motor plate issue fixed, and he's actually got a motor in the car at the moment. So I don't think he's that far off. His problem is, I mean, he works on cars all day. Then when he stops, he's going to work on his car.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it wears you out quicker. Trust me. You know what I mean? I don't want to go work on boats all day and have to build my boat. So, sore subject in my house is my boat. Very sore.
Come on, Chris, get that thing together.
Come on,
man. I'm not 100%. I got to tell you.
I'm battling a tooth that needs to be pulled.
I'll trade you.
Thought I was going to get it done today, but it's going to be tomorrow.
That's never fun.
No, it's a $13,000 bill by the time they get done fixing my mouth.
You ain't got Obamacare?
Nope. I got Jason care. Right, which is tough. Other than that, I mean, I don't know how else to draw cars to the class.
Who do we got? Obviously, JC is probably the number one contender at this point. How do you think the class is stacking up behind him there, or maybe disagree?
Well, I think Jeff Pittman's right on him.
Yeah,
Pittman's fast.
He's definitely right there with him for sure.
If Pittman can get control of the car, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem for everybody. He's a problem already for everybody. Because when he lost in the semifinals because what do you have, like an 89 light or a 189 light? But when he gets himself straightened out, I think he's battling that transmission. I think it's a little more than he's used to having in a car. But I think once he gets settled in with that thing, he's going to be more of a problem than what he is. It's a fast motor.
I don't
Yeah, and that camp brace is aggressive. Like there's some guys that run conservative and always go down the racetrack and all that. I don't know how many times I've seen Melnick or one of those guys wait to that last qualifying run to really catapult up to the front. Just because they've been over aggressive, maybe in the daylight or something like that. So I think Pittman has that same, what I think is an advantage of just racing real aggressive. Like if you watch, say, like the way Jamie Miller runs the car of David Cook's, it's more conservative to where it always goes down the racetrack. It always makes a pretty good run, but it's just Old Faithful, and then it's more of a conservative approach. And both have their advantages, but I think Pittman's a strong player. I think, Jason, you made some progress here recently. Cook Jr. is starting to get settled in the seat a little bit. I mean, I think there's a handful of cars up front. Carson, he's had a couple just, wild things happen that's taken him out of, competition at a couple races in a row. But, we know that car is fast as soon as it, works the bugs out.
If Lexi comes back, that's another fast car.
So word is, I think they're going to try to come back when school's out. Yeah. I know she's just got a hellacious school schedule and a bunch of other stuff outside of racing going on. So that'd be another great car to come back. I like seeing what Jeff Pierce brings to the starting line every run too. I always try to use that as a gauge because he makes great runs.
And Nicole's itching to come back. So I mean, I think they did all their R&D and testing on that new transmission, so that'll ease them up in the shop. I know she went and made some runs in Milan last week or so, and then also went turkey hunting. She killed one in their parents' backyard.
Where do you get all this information from?
Facebook, man.
He's a stalker. him and Daddy Dave, they're stalking together.
No, I checked it with Spirit back. He said none of that's true.
I know. I'm just messing around.
Poor Daddy Dave getting a bad rap.
I don't even know what that means.
There's
a rumor going around that he got arrested for stalking his ex-wife that was cheating on him, and he put a tracker on a car, and the car might belong to a cop. So he got arrested. That's the.
Who cares? That's just
and
fucking
TMZ reported it, so that tells you how credible it is.
Yeah. So it's So I text Andy because I'm supposedly Dave Comstock is supposed to be helping him tune the car, and I'm like, "What's the rumor with Dave Comstock?" He goes, "It's all fake." I went, "Okay, I don't care. Don't matter to me." But a lot of times my information just comes from the phone because all you 632 guys just want to talk to me all goddamn day. Like,
Jason,
yeah, you know what my phone says all the time? Incoming call.
I don't know that. I don't know. Andrew, like you do, obviously you talk to a lot of people. But like, what are his expectations for that car? Like, does the motor he have, does he think it's a top shelf? I think when I saw some pictures, it looked like it had a couple kits on it. I don't know if it's built as a max effort or if it's
it was a they were going back half no prep racing with it and PDRA. That was
now. Are we talking about that double rail 63 vet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Troy's involved in it now. So he's got a new set of wheelie bars coming because he had a single bar on it. So he's just going to basically go 632 racing with it now. Pretty much.
So it's a new to them car then, because obviously that's not the back half car you're speaking of.
Probably not. I don't know that much about it, but I just know that he's got a decent motor, and Dave Comstock's going to is going to tune it for him, and Troy's helping out.
You speaking of 63 Corvettes, has anybody heard from George Coleman? Is he making any plans to come back?
He's taking care of his son first, as far as with the dragster and everything, and he says, and he's waiting on parts. When parts get available, he'll put it together and he'll come back.
I was over at Gary's house 2 weeks ago, dropping off a set of struts he bought from me for his new car. And, I was checking it out. I was going to take some better pictures for y'all, but I was kind of in and out of there quick. I forgot to take some pictures. But he's making good progress, and he had the motor out of his car, flipped upside down. He found something. It looked like he told me where it came from, and I can't remember what he said, but it looked like a bearing out of a ball bearing. And it was bouncing around in there somewhere. Oh, I know what it was. It was a dowel pin for the oil pump, for the, one of the little dowel pins, Chris.
On the wet sump engine?
Yeah, but his motor's obviously a dry sump. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you still have them in there? Because he's just got a pipe plug in it. But apparently one of them rattled out and got flung around in there. And he didn't seem too concerned about anything. He said, I'm putting it back in there. So, but, yeah. So, Gary, Eddie Burnley, we're all like within 15 minutes of each other. So I live in Pasadena. Ed lives in Pasadena, and then Gary lives over in Odenton, which is, I'm over that way pretty much every day for work. So I try to stop in once in a while and see him.
His nephew said that the motor's okay, and they were going to be putting it back in the car.
Yeah. Yep.
And, that's a guy he comes to race for, have fun. You know what I mean?
He's got another one sitting there anyway. So even if that one wasn't, the other motor's sitting right there. He could put that one in there, and that one has been 30s also at one point. So Yeah, so he can go pretty much at any time anyway.
You know, he just loves to race. He loves racing a class. I give the guy credit, and for what he gets done in a short amount of time, building a car at his age.
Yeah.
I work hard, but man, he can. I think he can outwork me.
I know, and he's like 10 years older than you.
Yeah,
An easy 10.
we had that conversation before he started building it. We were talking about it, and I said, Gary, man, I'll tell you, I mean, I build a lot of cars myself, and he has built a lot more than me. But we both talked about it, and I said, man, I don't think I would. I think I'd buy a kit, and that's what he did. He bought a RJ kit, basically exactly like my car, but for a Camaro body. He said his wife wouldn't let him build a Mustang. He wanted to build a Mustang, but he said his wife wouldn't let him. But yeah, so
what's the backstory on that one?
They're just Chevy people, I guess. And Renee calls the shots over there. She always has. I mean, you know, so. But,
that's a good family.
Oh yeah, they're good. They're good people.
They're great.
So, yeah.
You know, so when we do go to those races that he's not there, it's like, man, Gary's not here. He makes that's the guy. He goes to everybody's pit and does his 5-10 minute spiel with you, and he quietly walks away.
Right.
Goes to goes over to your trailer and then leaves there, goes to the next trailer, and
yeah, he's normally aspirated. He don't have any maintenance to do.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet deal for sure.
Right. Rest of us are thrashing away.
I was thinking about that actually today, Chris, going back to your weight rule and all, and I was thinking, would it attract anybody if we let larger cubic inch motor cars in?
I talked about that in the off season about being that we don't have Mountain Motor Pro Stock anymore, letting them come in at a little bit higher weight. Then they'd run over there and let them run with us. I figured some of the bottom of the pack guys over there would fall back over here.
Right.
It was fun when Placino and Gillig and shit. There's 2 or 3 of them at one time. Huffman and they were competitive. You know what I mean? I think it would take some moderate adjustments to figure it all out, but.
I wish I could get that 632 from what's the guy that owns drink water stuff?
Yes.
I wish I could get that one he's got. I'd love to run that.
He's got it in a mud truck.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's probably one of the stoutest, engines of its kind, and it's in a no rules barred kind of category over there.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I wonder if Kazi could duplicate that thing.
Why couldn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't want to pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
I know I wouldn't.
No, there's some crazy numbers I hear circulating around these days of what some of that stuff is bringing, and man, it's just out of this world.
Right.
All the motor stuff is from Kazi's astronomical.
Well, I've even heard some numbers out of some of these, new 632s that, the amount of time and effort and R&D and stuff that's been put into them, that they're just astronomically priced. It's crazy.
I think I was like 85, 90. I never wanted to sit down and put the numbers to it from scratch, buying every piece brand new.
85 is the most I've ever had into one, and the primary place all the money was spent was on the induction side.
I was gonna ask you, Chris, what's the top of the line baddest set of cylinder heads with all the bells and whistles?
Heads, manifold, and rockers about 30,000.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that's for the category like us. I know some guys that paid much more than that for like some pro stock style stuff. There's probably a handful of mountain motor guys that go, damn, that's cheap. However, in the stuff that we do, that's Mike Anderwick did us a set of the symmetrical heads that were in your gold Camaro. And by the time that project was done. And Jason, you know about it because you've been through castings and everything else, trying to get something that didn't spray water out of it, and
Yeah.
you know the whole 9 yards, developing something new and a new rocker deal, and it gets expensive. I mean, think about what Mead paid for the manifold on the 9 degree that I did for him. I mean,
Yeah.
that was an all billet deal from Schweitzer.
Right.
One system, throttle bodies, manifold, single injector, and a dry nitrous kit was like 40 grand.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know,
But,
it was a work of art. It was as good as
yeah.
you can get. It was all it was supposed to be. We was on time. We were very pleased with it, but it wasn't cheap.
Right.
But it's also one of one. I mean, it's not like a production piece by any means. So
Yeah, I don't even know where that. I think that one wound up on that. The guy that runs Top Sportsman with NPDRA with the green '69 Mustang, he bought 2 of Mead's engines, and I think that was one of the ones he wound up with.
that was a billet aluminum block engine with 9 degree,
Right.
and then that Schweitzer manifold. That was good. That was good stuff.
Yep.
Negative Ghost Rider. We've been down that road. If we're gonna do that, let's just make it unlimited and
Yeah.
race. But
Yeah, the problem with that is, you know what happens with that. It's just who's going to spend the most money. You know what
this
I
is
mean?
this is. I love Doug to death, but he's also been fighting that fight because it's more suitable to his current combination.
Yeah, the switch over has been a little tough for Douglas.
Yeah.
Right.
But
No, that would be Doug. Doug would have that retrofit done first. That's for sure.
right. Yeah.
Man, there's some comments out there tonight.
Weight break for carbs. Mm.
Yeah, that's not a bad question, but
I that's why I didn't respond because I'm just kind of soaking it in a little bit and thinking.
I mean you got to
I'll be honest with you, and I'll stand by this. I don't think carburetors make less power. I actually think they make more power than EFI. However, we have to race on the racetrack, and there's
Right.
so much more you can do with the EFI that makes it faster on the racetrack. So I do think the EFI has an advantage. It's not just purely a power thing, but there's a lot more going on than just making horsepower. So
Absolutely.
Calvin, what do you think it would be worth? What would you lobby for?
Vinny, you should get that. I mean, I don't know if the Duster falls in there, but
I don't think it does.
we started that a while ago with the 57. I petitioned that to John Sears and he put it in there.
Well, I mean, he's a standard wheelbase and steel roof and quarter car. He gets that weight break, right?
I mean, he definitely should.
Yeah, but what's the standard wheelbase of a Duster?
I don't know. Google it. I mean, it's.
I know you can't do too many electronic things at once.
No, I
He can't move that bone, Jason.
definitely can't.
He's got it set up good now. If he moves it, he'll never.
Vinny probably knows. I mean,
Vinny, Google it.
Vinny, what's your wheelbase?
He already knows.
Troy knows. I mean, like it's stock. We know that thing's not stretched out.
Troy built that.
Calvin's saying, oh, Vinny said 108.
I would have guessed it was longer than that, honestly. So what's that? 69 Camaro wheelbase, right? 40.
40 pounds for carburetors. That sounds a little stout.
Yeah, that's a lot. But
if they swung at 40 pounds, I'd have carburetors on our stuff.
Troy Russell comes back with the truth.
Damn, Troy, why you got to put him out there like that?
It's not stock wheelbase, Vinny. Well, it's plus or minus 2 inches. We'll give him some slack there.
Right.
White guy, black guy stuff.
Whatever. He needs to come back anyway. So just if we all got to turn a blind eye to that, then so be it. You know.
Not that that's ever happened before.
Right.
Yeah. Select a tech.
Got a point here. They gave it to and I argue this. They gave it to the A body Chevelle. Well, it's not an A body; it's a G body, but they did, and I argue that because I think that Chevelle's got less frontal than I do.
Well, if you're talking about Pittman's car, that would be an A body for sure.
Is that A?
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that car is cool.
I can tell you this: you can't take a door off a '69 Camaro that Chevelle or a windshield out of a Chevelle and put in that car.
Exactly. I mean, Vinny's car is definitely a real car for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, then that goes back to the same thing with fixed car. That was a real car.
I agree.
yep.
But we can't run multiple systems anymore. I mean, your people showed up with multiple systems.
It was my chassis builder.
Your people. It's my story. 25 for carbs.
I mean,
do I hear 15?
I think 25 is the good number, but
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
I don't know that it would draw in anybody. I mean, it would be cool if it could. I mean, if we, I had a guy.
Perception is reality. If they think it gives them an edge and it's what they have, then they may feel more inclined to come. I think half of this shit with the rules is a mental thing.
I'm still,
think?
Well, look at it. There's cars right now that aren't running as fast as they did last year, 50 pounds heavier. And they're still lobbying for rules. I mean, get back to where you were and then start talking about it. Or if there's another car with the same combination, if there's another car with your combination that is faster than you, you can't say nothing about rules because you're not running up to the potential of what the rules that you have are. It's when you're topped out with the rules and you're just beating your head against the wall trying to go any faster and you're the fastest car with your combination, then you can have a conversation about rules, but you can't have a conversation about rules a tenth behind another guy with your same open transmission 36 jet, pro mod body car, so there's no talking from the back. Like, you just got to keep working on your stuff. So,
I mean, there's that you touched a point. Somebody came out this year. They're slower than they were last year, and we're 25 pounds lighter.
Right.
Fix your shit. Don't look at the rest of us to slow us down. Fix your shit.
Right.
You got lost over the winter. That's not our fault. I got lost. I'm not blaming anybody.
I was going to say that happens to every one of us. I mean, and it just, we just kept doing it. Look at how many times did you knock the tires off at the hit, Jason? But you just
how many races did we have? We had 8 races. How many rounds?
But you kept doing it. I mean, I kept.
I think it's called every time you ran Walt.
Every time every time I let the button go.
Well,
but you didn't quit, so attaboy for that.
I put that H tire on my car, which I hate that tire company. I put that on there. It did it. It did it with everything I've done until I changed the converter. And I'm not saying the converter was the problem. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's just to me, it's a coincidence.
Now you got to go back and test them, the H tires, as you call them, and see maybe that combination would be faster with the right converter.
I'm getting my Mickeys.
Right earth converter.
He just can't do it.
Can't. And I still run a collector. I'm not a zoomy guy yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That one I think is debatable. I mean, I definitely took into everything Jeff said about that, and I believe it 100%. But I don't know. I think it could
many ways to skin a cat. That's all I can tell you. It all works. Say that again.
JC's on a collector.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
big. He's a big collector, but he's on one.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to touch on that when you guys were talking about that earlier. I mean, Dave that tunes that car was the one that was helping me for years with he helped me pretty much with every car I raced. And he's very, very sharp, very smart, but he's kind of like what you were saying, Chris. He's not a very aggressive racer. He's a smart racer. And that car is and I don't mean this in any kind of way. We haven't seen the potential of that car yet. I would almost guarantee it. It's definitely going to go faster than what you've seen. So Dave, and Dave was always on me about doing that, testing, trying stuff, and unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to do that. JC is and will, and
it shows.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean that will 100%, show for them.
Right.
No, and he's another one that came out and had some rough seasons, running normally aspirated and things like that, and getting his feet wet, but just kept working at it, and now, he's gone from the outhouse to the penthouse, and it's just from hard work.
Right.
And he's had some serious N8 engine builders. The best and the best in pro stock.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't work for him.
It's just a whole different deal over there, man. I mean, and that I don't know if that's part of the reason that people, there was a lot of guys that, especially in my area, that were going to come out and do it. Oh, we'll go do it. We'll, you're doing it. We'll do it. And then they saw struggles and,
That's my favorite. We have all these conversations on the back lines all the time about all these guys that are going to come show us how it's done.
Right.
I'm the 82-time world champion at my track, and Thursday Night Fever this and all that horse shit. And then they come 632 race and show you how it's done. And
we had a 632 back in 1998 that went 660s, and I'm like, okay, cool.
See you there.
Maybe you should have show up money.
Right. I mean,
if they show up and give them some money.
We got a guy around this way that that I hear that story all the time. It went 660s.
Every time.
It's
going to be easy.
Yeah, it went 660s one time with 3 kits on it, and it was probably dead at 1,321 feet. You know what I mean?
Robbie Cranshaw runs Top Sports, and he's like, man, do you think I can run that class for you guys? I'm like, you got a 632, and he's like, no, it's a 706. I said, well, you got to have a 632.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
man, you guys run just as fast as me with 3 kits on, and I'm only 2,400 pounds. And I'm going, yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
You're making steam in them things. You know what I mean? It's
not just that. The cars are just fast. I mean, analyze everything.
Chris, I mean, and I think that's the thing that we should focus on moving forward, is to let people know how badass these things really are. I mean, people just think that's a 632 in this, and like Brian's friends, that's 632. I'll come and I'll go do that. No, you're not.
Right.
Everybody comes walking in and think they're gonna, come in our sandbox and they're gonna. We're almost sound like street outlaws when they first started out, right?
Well, I'm gonna make an example, and it's no disrespect, but just to give you an idea on how easy it's not. Mead, we were talking about him earlier. A couple years back, got hooked up with the Harrises and that camp, which is a very decorated, history of racing nitro stuff. And to be honest with you, didn't necessarily, they made good laps, but didn't necessarily show us how it was done and set the world on fire. And that is a brilliant group of people. So that's one of them scenarios right there. It's a classic example of how easy it isn't, because in all, going into that season, I'm like, oh shit, we're in trouble. They got 2 or 3 new Bickel cars and 6 engines and a great brain trust of people. We're in trouble. And it just wasn't, it didn't come together that quick. And
so I got a little feedback on that, actually, now that I actually drove Rick Mead's red car the first race, and worked with Jason. And, great guy, awesome. I had a blast that weekend. And, I made a couple laps in the car, and I came back and told him some stuff. And I was sitting in the car one time in the staging lanes, and he reached his head in and asked me, what do you think about this or that? And I'm like, hey man, you're calling the shots. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I need your feedback just as much as you want me to help. And I was like, I said, okay, so I gave him what I thought, and we worked really well together that weekend, I thought. And, then I think the 4th pass on the car, we went a 19. We kind of tried some stuff and it worked. And that car was probably, out of all the cars I've driven, it responded the most to anything I've ever felt. And Chris, you know this, I'm kind of a seat of pants driver. And I came back and told Jason a couple things a couple times, and he's like, man, it's kind of cool that you can tell me that stuff, because a lot of guys that I've worked with don't. you know? So, like I was hard on myself that weekend because my late first round was so terrible, which Jason, you know that. I mean, I'm normally not that bad, but we had the nitrous on the two-step. I'd never driven a car with that on there like that. And it was, I don't know if it was a distraction to me or not. I mentioned that to Jason. I asked him, I said, do you think that could have been a distraction for me? And he's like, absolutely. And it was violent. I mean, the car went 980 something a couple times in a row. And we were making some good headway. We just ran out of weekend. And, but you are right. And Jason had told me that. He's like, man, this is not an easy deal here. And, it's they tried a bunch of different stuff. I mean, that car's definitely got quite a bit more in it with what's in it right now. There's a few things that Tyler and I talked about doing. So I may get to drive it again here, maybe Maryland. Mead had mentioned something about that, but I don't know. I mean, Tyler's got some stuff going on. He's busy with work, and so I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. But
so you won't be racing in Virginia?
Probably not Virginia. No. I don't really want to speak on it, but Tyler's got some personal stuff going on. I don't think the car is probably going to come out for that one. And, and I don't think Virginia is definitely not going to happen, but Maryland, there's a possibility either me and even if Tyler drives it, I'll still go and help them. So
I think we go on a social media assault on these other guys that think they can come and do it somehow, some way, come up without, show up money or something. They want to do it, and there goes Chris. If they want to do it, they should show up.
He's timed out.
Yep.
So.
And that's how I feel about it. I mean, because to have drama between ourselves, whether it's friendly drama or not, at some point it's going to get unfriendly, right? We all know that. We can all only take so much shit talking to each other before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I don't. Like, and I come from grudge racing, street racing. I did that stuff forever. And, it's funny because a long time ago, I've seen many fights out there doing that stuff, but like 9 times out of 10, people would talk so much trash, and then after it was over, be carrying on and having a good time like it didn't even happen.
I think 90% of the time it would be that way. It's
right.
going to be that 10% when somebody's having a really bad day.
Yep.
The bank account's low. They just blew a motor. Blah 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 blah. Somebody's going to say something, and then we're all going to have a problem.
They just hit weight on the track.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason was carrying on, and I just walked in, and I said, "Are you all right, man?" And he started carrying on. I was like, "Oh, he's all right. He's breathing. He can say all that. He's breathing." So
I'm still not over it yet.
No, I don't blame you, man. But I mean, it sucks that it happened, but it happened. I mean,
so Jason, what was worse, that hitting the weight on the track, or the outboards down the side of the toter?
I didn't even hear
Hit
about
the weight on a track, because at least at the end of the day, the kid that ran the outboards down the side of my toter home apologized. And he ain't got FU money.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And he ain't got FU money.
Yep.
Roger that.
Troy's on there. When the orange Camaro knocks the tires off. Exactly. But it is what it is, and I mean, but that's what I think we should do. Because there's always people that want to come, and they don't want to show up because they know that they can't do what we do. Again, I'm going to say it again. It almost sounds like we sound like 3 guys from sitting on a bare street, and people want to come race, no prep or something, and they think it's easy, and they all show up, and then they all go. They show up, they watch, and they leave because they know they can't do what we do.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't want to put it out there like that either, like make it unobtainable, because it is. I mean, like Chris said,
you can buy with work.
Yeah, you can buy an older car. You can you can buy an engine. I mean, Chris has got a 14-degree engine right now that could be bought, and it would be
For sale.
It could put you in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, that's the kind of stuff that's.
I mean, you can get there in, like, Brian, remember, this is going back probably to 2019 or 2020 when we put the blue Chevy 2 together and just showed up in Orlando, never made a run on it. I think our first run we went like 31.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the time it wasn't the fastest, but it was in the hunt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you won a damn you know, and what do they call it, an Ironman or whatever, going 28.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it can be done, no problem. I mean, like, I think Cook Jr. took out the Chevelle in the semifinal, and he had 6 numbers on him. You know what I mean? Giants can be slayed,
Oh, they
but
definitely can be. I mean, everybody's going to have their day eventually. I mean,
but the thing that's difficult, like what Jason's talking about, is the difference in that 21 versus that 12.
Yeah,
is a lot.
it is.
It's a lot, and I mean, it's a lot to get there, and the ironic thing is it's so many subtle things. There's no more big stuff left.
Right.
You know, it's the old story about 10 in 10 places is 100, because there's no hundreds left.
Nope.
You know, you're going to have to find all the little numbers doing everything right.
Yep.
And that's all it boils down to.
So just for, you know, and like you said, this was years ago. I thought you were going down a different path with that, but, like, you know, me bought the Chevy 2, an engine from you, a new trans from Mark Mickey, a converter. You know, the car had carburetors and it had a grid and all that stuff in it there, but it was probably, honestly, a little bit over $100,000 for that deal.
And that was nice stuff.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was a very nice car. I mean, it looked brand new when we picked it up. I mean, you remember I showed you, you've seen it, and it can be done for sure. I mean, there's definitely stuff out there that'll get you in the hunt, and then once you're out there and you do it for a little while and you start, like, picking away at all the little stuff, like you said, that's where you're going to find the numbers, you know. So, but,
all right, well, let's wrap it up for the night, guys.
yeah, my laptop's about to die anyway.
Yep, we're over an hour. I'd like to thank, who am I thanking? I just
know. Your fan club?
No, we got to thank Mark Williams for sponsoring us and race.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Procom's ELS for sponsoring the show as usual, weekly.
Don't forget, we got a bounty on JC. First person to take him out.
How much are we up to now?
I don't know.
Are we at 100?
I don't know if it actually happens. Everybody would be happy to get the money out of their pocket. He's on a tear right now. He's definitely got a target on his back.
He's definitely going to be
a well-deserved, well-earned target, and that's no shit talking. That's just he's class of the field at the moment.
Yep.
I think it's got some people's feathers ruffled, from what I can tell.
I agree.
Thank Mr. Cook for having dinner again next week at Virginia. I guess we're having chicken, and that's about it. So next week, I guess I'll do a show at the race on Wednesday night. And maybe we get Mr. Hood on. All right. All right. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.